I discovered last week that I can feel pretty down when I'm not making my weekly content, so rather than continuing to hold off on making any content until I finish Planescape Torment, I'm going to give you guys a taste of my next video as a way of recommending the game, so there won't be any huge spoilers here, and hopefully you'll pick it up and play it in time for my next video. The story I'm about to tell is based around a magical item called a sensory stone. It's a device that allows one to permanently archive the sensations of a particular moment in their life. Everything they thought, felt, heard, tasted, touched, smelled, and saw. The Nameless One, your player character, once in the past took advantage of the endless love that a woman named Numenera had for him. He used the language of love to manipulate her into going on a journey with him that would almost certainly lead to her death. Based on how I described this moment, you'd think it was the crux of the entire game's narrative, but believe me when I say that this game is full of stuff on this caliber, and the scene described below is only a microscopic fraction of the game, unforgettable as it is. There's a particular moment in Planescape Torment in which, while experiencing a sensation archived by Numenera in a sensory stone, you have a flashback to your side of a conversation. During this scene, you experience both what Numenera felt and what you were thinking during a conversation between the two of you. As much as you want to hurl the memory of the experience from you, you hold it fast, because you know it's important to remember it. It was you in that experience. It was Numenera's experience, but because it was you, your memories flooded you, and you could feel both sides at once. Who were you? Who was that shade of you? The Nameless One is here to convince Numenera to join him on a journey that he knows will probably lead to her death. She's nothing to him but a useful asset on his quest. He is everything to her. We feel the undying love she has for him eating away at her, making her physically ill. Her fear that she might lose him is described as a serpent in her breast, biting her heart, poisoning it with its venom. As the sensation rolls over you, there is a stirring in your breast, a hunger, poisonous like a serpent, biting into your heart, until you feel as if your breast will explode. You want desperately to steady yourself, focus, but all that comes to your eyes is tears. It took an incredible amount of talent by the author here to describe just how much Numenera loves the Nameless One and fears losing him. Meanwhile, the Nameless One is just annoyed by what he sees as her tedious melodramatic talk of true love and sacrifice. I left a legacy in my father's keeping, my love. Ask for the 6th, the 3rd, the K, and the S. In it, I bequeath everything to you. It's not much, but with it I left you, him. A wave of irritation washes over you. You clench your teeth to prevent the irritation from crossing your features. Must she always continue to prattle, even when you do not prompt her? Must she... But no. Keep the irritation inside. Only a trace slips out. Come now. I cannot die, Numenera. There is no need for such foolishness. He's annoyed with her to the point of true infuriation, while she can't get past this terrible, heart-stopping feeling that he's still mad at her. Everything the Nameless One says to console her, I love you, I need you, I could never be mad at you, we were destined to be together, it's all just cold, calculated language to make Numenera set her fears of losing him aside, so that she doesn't slow him down any more than she has to. There is a cold silence in his mind, then a hissing of thought, a response sharp and deadly, like a dagger blade. The lie comes swiftly, unburdened by emotion. I love you, Numenera. And you want to scream as you feel the lie wash over her like a radiance, but it is a shadow of a truth. A serpent's kiss, and he means you harm, and she can't see. You want to call out, but she's crying with joy, even as... The Nameless One knows that he could smack her, insult her, tell her he hates her, and she would still follow him to the negative material plane and back. It just so happens that dealing with the nuisance that she's becoming is easier in the long run than listening to her prattling over the entire journey. My love, before you go, his anger, his irritation, what now, girl, what now, you mewling banshee? Before I go, it looks like I am in no danger of that. Come, Numenera, can't these questions wait for the morn? If you've ever broken up with somebody before trying to console them, the Nameless One's feelings in this scene might be relatable to you. If you've ever been broken up with by somebody you truly love, you can relate to Numenera. Odds are, most people listening have experienced both to some degree. We like to think that we're always in the right. It's a way of protecting our sanity. Sure, I'm a good guy. I'm here consoling this person who cares about me, even though their talk of love is just getting on my nerves. And then, during the breakups directed at us, I can't believe this is happening. I love you so much, I thought you loved me too. In reality, every breakup of such a serious relationship has both sides at play, and both sides are right. I remember when I broke up with my high school sweetheart. She kept saying all of these things like, I can't breathe, I think I'm going to faint or have a heart attack, I'm shaking dizzily with cold sweats. And I remember feeling exactly like the Nameless One does in this scene, thinking that she's being melodramatic and being entirely annoyed by what I saw as exaggerations. I genuinely managed to convince myself that she was in the wrong for describing her feelings so viscerally. Then, when I first read this scene, I connected it to my first time being broken up by somebody I loved, and I remember feeling the exact same way. Cold sweats, labored breathing, heart pounding, and I'm sure that as I described these feelings to them, they felt exactly like the Nameless One, just as I would in the future when I perpetrated a similar breakup. They may have loved me at one point, but over time the tiny annoyances built up and they came to be all the other person saw of me. They were carefully picking their language, trying to console me in the exact same way that I would when I broke up with my sweetheart in the future, annoyed by my melodramatics just as I would be with hers. We'd been pushed to the breaking point, and it took everything within us to not tell the other person off as they're sitting there feeling like they're going to throw up at the reality of losing us. As I said, we like to pretend that we were right to feel sick when being broken up with, and yet they were wrong to feel sick when we broke up with them. This scene manages to connect those two feelings and shows us that we were wrong and right in every side of every serious breakup we've been through. This scene isn't about making us feel bad for our exes, it's meant to show us that they weren't just being melodramatic by reminding us a time that we felt exactly how they described. If you've only experienced one of these sides of a breakup of this caliber, odds are you'll experience the other half someday, and hopefully you'll link the two breakups together and understand how the other person felt during a previous breakup. A breakup of a long-lasting relationship is physically painful, literally gut-wrenching for the victim of it, and downright annoying for the perpetrator, and that's just the nature of breakups. There are two sides to every story, and if you've ever been annoyed by how much someone said they cared about you, odds are they weren't exaggerating in the least. Your emotions can never truly be controlled, but you can always try to use them to better know yourself, and you can try to see the situation from the other's perspective, hopefully helping to put the empathetic side of your mind into center frame. The empathetic side will inevitably take over eventually, when you look back at the experience with retrospect, untainted by the raw emotion of the moment, and if you let those raw emotions control the temperature of the moment, you'll end up with more regrets, more torment.